Hello, I'm Remy.
And this is Dakota.
You're listening to Leveling Duo, the podcast where two good friends talk about video games they've really enjoyed, hope to enjoy soon.
Oh, yeah.
What are you talking about today, Dakota?
Well, today I actually thought I would talk about a couple of games. Trilogy, in fact.
That's three games.
Yes. The Legend of Spyro trilogy.
Good. You know, I haven't played them since I was an early teen, though.
Yeah, the first one, the original New Beginning, was actually released in 2006.
Really?
Mm-hmm. I believe I played it either that year or the year after, maybe in 2007, but I'm not sure. Has been a while. And I played it on the Xbox.
Now, I played Spyro like on the early PlayStation.
This is a kind of like a reboot to the original trilogy.
Okay, that explains why I was so confused.
But it was pretty cool. Again, like I said, it was like a reboot to the original Spyro series. It was a little bit, the graphics had changed. There was a bit of a more, I guess you can say, mature tone to the overall game. The first one basically kind of like shows like Spyro's origin, the temple where his egg is attacked, and kind of Moses style makes its way downriver, where he is found by a family of dragonflies who basically fish him out of the river, and he hatches, and then they raise him.
See, I can't remember much about it since I was so young. I just know it's a pretty little purple dragon.
Yep. Which, being a purple dragon, is very special in and of itself in this universe.
Oh, so yeah, I didn't know that.
In the first game, he goes on a quest to find the guardian dragons to basically reinstate them into power, per se, to help keep the Dark Master from being released and coming back. And the dragon that is basically the bad guy in the first game is a dark dragon named Cinder, who is essentially the spearhead for trying to bring back the Dark Master.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing that's special about Spyro, where he is a purple dragon, is that he can utilize multiple elements, whereas most other dragons can only utilize one. And that's what's so special about purple dragons. They can utilize all the four basic elements, plus they also have the special element of time, and can theoretically channel other new elements as well.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember much about the time.
Which they had some decent actors for the voice acting in the first game. Elijah Wood was Spyro, David Spade is Sparks, Gary Oldman was Ignitus, Corey Burton was Voltaire, Jeff Bennett was Cyril, Kevin Michael Richardson was Terrador, and Cree Summer was Cinder.
Oh, wow. I recognize a lot of those names, and for me, that's pretty rare.
Oh, yeah. Like, it's kind of considered like a prequel to the original games in a sense, but it's a reboot, so it's kind of its own thing. Overall, it was kind of average to mixed reviews on the first game. Some people liked it, some people hated it, because it was so different from the original Spyros, which that happens whenever you've got like a reboot. That happens.
Yeah.
Then the second installment is Legend of Spyro, The Eternal Night. This comes out the next year, late 2007, and actually came out on several different consoles: PS2, Game Boy Advance, DS, and Wii.
I thought there was some remasters that came out like a couple years ago.
There's been like the Reignited trilogy.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like a remastered version of the original trilogy.
Okay.
So that's not a reboot, that's just kind of like a remaster.
Okay.
That's probably the ones you're thinking of.
Yeah, because I was like, this feels so much more recent than this.
Now, in Eternal Night, kind of the same difference. Someone's out to free the Dark Master again.
As one does.
This one is the Ape King. And basically it's kind of like a prophecy. He can break the seal of the prison on the night of eternal darkness. And Spyro, at this point, had been experiencing like visions, headaches of, I think he was called the Chronicler, basically a very old dragon that apparently, I think in the game, kind of like he knew the Dark Master, like more personally.
Yeah.
And basically it was just like, you have to go stop him. Like the Dark Master can't be released at no matter what. Most everyone was the same voice actors for this game, except that Billy West took over for Sparks, and Mae Whitman took over the role for Cinder.
I don't recognize those.
Not so much either, but I just figured I'd give them a shout out there.
Yeah. Fair enough.
In this one, Spyro's a little bit older. He basically starts off with all the elements, unlike in the first game where he basically just starts off with just fire. He has already, got all 4 of the elements in him. And basically you can progress by essentially like kind of filling up these meters that unlock more abilities for each element. And you get specials and kind of give you ways to clear the game. It's kind of like a mixture of like platformer and kind of like real-time combat. Which in the game, spoilers, it does introduce the concept that one of the reasons why purple dragons are so powerful and rare is that they themselves have the unique ability to manipulate the flow of time. Being able to like slow it or freeze it and possibly reverse it in some situations.
That's a lot better than the D&D purple dragon, which just lives underground and spews energy blasts.
Mm-hmm. Basically, with Eternal Night, you, near the end of this game, after traveling again around the world, fighting the Ape King here and there, finally kind of make it to I want to call it like the Dark Castle, where the well is at, that the Dark Master is sealed in. And unfortunately, he is released. And at this point in time, Cinder is actually on your side. Into the first game, you actually defeat her, and she actually is like a full-size dragon, but when you defeat her, she like shrinks down to where she's like Spyro size. And you kind of find out that she was actually being controlled by the Dark Master and had been manipulated. That she was also a dragon that was born at the same time as Spyro. So she was like special in her own way. She wasn't a purple dragon, but she was a dark dragon, so dark dragons are also special in their own right too. But she wasn't inherently evil. So she actually teams up with Spyro and helps him out in the second game. However, the Dark Master is released, and they are actually like kind of sealed away.
They took his place.
Well, no, like it's not permanent like his was supposed to be, but it's kind of like they're unable to do anything. Then that's how the second game ends. And then with the third game, Dawn of the Dragon, Cinder and Spyro wake up, and it has been several years since their imprisonment, and they are like visibly like older, physically more mature.
Are they like teen dragons now?
Kind of, sort of. Which,
Okay.
I mean, I kind of consider them teen dragons before. They're kind of getting closer to adult dragons now.
Okay.
In this installment, they introduced the concept of flying.
Oh, yeah.
Like straight flying, not just gliding like in previous games.
Yeah, I always just had to glide.
Also, too, there is part of the mechanics is that Spyro and Cinder are linked together by these like spectral links. There are these collars that each of them have on that essentially make it to where they can only physically go so far away from each other. And that builds into the gameplay with a lot of the platforming and puzzle solving and things of that nature. Plus, too, you can actually freely switch between the two. And this game also has a 2-player mode where each dragon can be controlled by 2 people.
Okay.
And essentially, like, you set out to journey together to stop Malefor, the Dark Master. Which, at this point, it is also revealed that he is the very first ever purple dragon, and that he actually turned evil. That originally he was actually good, like Spyro, but essentially the power and authority and everything went to his head. And was just like, well, no one can stop me, so why not be in charge?
I'll do what I want.
And then that's when all the Guardian Dragons came together and sealed him away, because they weren't powerful enough to actually take him out. That's why Spyro was actually supposed to be so special, being the next purple dragon, because they figured they fucked up the first time, they're not going to mess up the second time, and they knew that if they raised him correctly and trained him correctly, that he would be the one to be able to take out Malefor.
Yes. The whole Ichigo and the substitute Soul Reaper situation.
Most of the voice actors are back. However, Sparks is replaced again. Now it is Wayne Brady who voices him. And then Christina Ricci actually replaces Mae Whitman as Cinder. And they actually start introducing some kind of like what I call Easter egg characters from the original trilogy. The Hunter of Avalar is voiced by Blair Underwood. And guess who does Malefor the Dark Master?
I couldn't guess. I don't know who it is.
Mark Hamill.
Are you kidding?
Nope.
Oh, that's kind of nice.
Oh yeah, like it took me a while. Then when he laughed, I was like, wait.
I know that laugh.
Well, I mean, like, it wasn't full on Joker laugh, but I was just like, yeah, I recognize that.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
I recognize his voice more for the Joker than Star Wars any day.
I don't know, man. Like altogether, like the trilogy, I thought was really, really fun. I would say that altogether, if you wanted to ever like sit down and like play them back to back, you're looking at probably an average of like 5 to 6 hours a game, if not less.
Yeah, about new Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3's campaign length.
Kind of, sorta.
Yeah.
Just depending on like how difficult you find some bosses and some areas to traverse.
I would like to play these in the remastered, remade. I'd like to play the whole, I guess, 6 games now in there.
Yeah. Which, if you were a fan of the original trilogy, then I would recommend just playing the remastered versions first, because that's essentially just playing the older games over again. And then after that, possibly play the reboot and just kind of get it like a different feel, because it's still showing you Spyro's story and gameplay, but definitely a different spin on it.
Yeah. I can't remember enough about it to remember anything, really. I feel like I was collecting fairies a lot.
That was, the original trilogy was really, really big on collectibles.
Okay. Platforming collectibles kind of thing.
Which, that was the age of, like, Banjo-Kazooie and stuff like that.
Well, I played Spyro.
Yeah, I was a Spyro kid. I mean, no offense to, the Crash Bandicoot and the others, just Spyro was the one I played.
Yeah, same here. I had no idea there had been technically 3 sets that came out. It was a more open platformer than Banjo-Kazooie then, wasn't it? I can't remember much about, I never played them really, but I know when I watch it, it looks very linear, or it appeared open to me as a kid.
I mean, it was, well, especially the original trilogy, it was a 3D platformer. So, but it was very linear as far as like story went. Pretty much like you went to the different levels, got all the collectibles, defeated the boss at the end, and then went on to the next one.
Okay. Like I said, it's been so long. I guess it just seemed that way to me. Is there a way to play it now?
The original releases were on like PS2, but as far as if you want to go by Wikipedia, the platforms are Game Boy Advance, GameCube, Nintendo DS, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, Wii, Xbox, and Xbox 360.
So 360, I don't know. They should.
There's a possibility you might be able to get access on Game Pass if you're on Xbox.
I don't think it'll be on Game Pass, but it might be on the shop.
Yeah, that would be my best guess. Would just be look at the older titles in your respective shops, whether it's Xbox or PlayStation. But I mean, I definitely recommend giving them a play especially if you're a fan of the original. But if you've never heard of Spyro, it's a good introduction, I think.
Who doesn't want to be a purple dragon?
Especially, I don't know, like one of the reasons why, like as a kid, I always liked Spyro was because, I don't know, like I liked his attitude. Kind of reminded me of kind of like a Spider-Man, had that, the bit of smart ass to him.
I can see that.
And one thing I do enjoy too in the reboot is that Sparks actually will talk rather than just buzz. Because in the original it was just like, beep, beep, beep. Beep, 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 beep. And then Spyro was just like, yeah, buddy, I hear you. In this one, he's actually like, Spyro, buddy, pal, brother, what are you doing? He doesn't, I don't know if he actually specifically says that, don't quote me, but.
So at least he says things that are meaningful. That's a big part of a lot of Japanese games. If they have a nonsensical language, at least one character is going to be very, I call it sim talky.
I mean, I just like how, like, the characters were more fleshed out, I think.
Yeah. That's what it probably is. You know what they're really thinking and saying, for the most part. And more than just a general kind of, the way their eyebrows move, you might understand they're upset.
Don't worry, they're a little bit more animated than the early 2000s. Well, I know they were still early 2000s, but they weren't, like, early 2000s.
It's wild that they came out so soon after the first ones had finished, when you think about it.
Well, that was the era of, like, where people were more along the lines of, like, pumping games out kind of quickly.
Yeah.
Now it's more along the lines of how much can we put into a game, rather than, let's design a game.
How much can we charge for everything else we put in the game afterwards?
Pretty much.
I've been going through MMOs lately, trying to find one I like, and all the pay to win, it's hard.
Yeah, I mean, microtransactions are a way to get money if you're a developer. or a studio. But at the same time, too, though, as a consumer experience, pay to win, I don't know, it kind of takes a lot of the fun out of competitive play, especially.
It certainly does. I'm fine with cosmetics. Sea of Thieves is like that.
Yeah, like cosmetics, that's completely fine. But if it's like, oh, if you pay $50, you get this item that has like a 50% chance of like instant killing anything that you attack, then that's a little busted.
Yeah.
Like anyone that wants to burn $50 on an item essentially is now, really powerful. Unless, and this is a concept that I think some developers out there might be free to do if you want, and also too, it might be a little controversial, so if any of our listeners out there would like to voice their opinion, feel free. But how about the idea of essentially it's, in a sense, kind of like pay to win microtransactions. However, it's of limited supply in game.
Oh, that's nice.
So to an extent that it's not like an item that is essentially like super game breaking, but say like it's like a super ultra rare legendary sword, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, if it's MMO, say you pay $200 for it, that's cool. But maybe it's the only item in the game of that sword. But you die, you've lost it, and unless you can get back to reclaim it, someone else can pick it up.
That'd be kind of cool, yeah.
Well, I mean, to an extent, I would feel like that might be a way to balance out certain pay-to-win situations.
I like that idea. That wouldn't be terrible. A scalper would get it and then sell the account. I won't play any of them that's got pay-to-win. Simple as that.
I'm more of a fan of the grind.
Yeah. What is it, Lost Ark? The MMO came out a couple years ago. I tried it, but now I've got to a point where I'd have to buy stuff to keep going, and I'm just not going to do it. I've downloaded New World, which is think of a fantasy setting taking place in the New World during the 1600s. A wizard running through North America, pretty much. But that's neither here nor there.
In a nutshell, I will say this. I have very fond memories of playing the game. Back in the day, I actually played 2-player with my brother. It's one of the very few games that I ever actually got a chance to really play with him. For those of you that know or don't know, I do have a younger brother, though I will not put his name out there just for the sake of...
Come on, dox him.
Well, my brother's a little bit more of the private sort, and so I'd rather just, if he wants to be, let be. Anyway, he's a big gamer as well. If anything, nowadays, maybe more so than I am. He devotes a lot more time to the computer desk than I do, I'll put it that way.
That could change.
But he has the opportunity to do so. I do not. I digress. I don't know, it was a good game, I thought. I liked the story. I liked the mechanics. I thought it was just difficult enough to make it challenging and fun.
And it didn't overstay its welcome.
Exactly. And it does have a little bit of replay value to an extent. I'd definitely recommend give it a try. All 3 of them. Start off with the first game, and if you like the story, mechanics, all that, play through, play the second, and as the games progress, the story, I feel like, flows very nicely together, and they add enough extra mechanics and a little bit of gameplay here and there to where it makes it worth getting the next game. And it has a satisfying ending.
If it don't end well, I try not to ever go back.
Which, it was kind of open-ended to the point where they could have potentially made more games.
But they just rebooted or remastered the last ones or whatever. Well,
in classic Spyro sense, it's kind of a trilogy type of thing. It's not Assassin's Creed.
Well, since this one seems hard to find, if you would like to play the original trilogy remastered or reignited, Spyro Reignited Trilogy, it's available for Switch for $22 at the moment. And it might be a Black Friday thing. $22, $23. That sounds like a good buy for 3 games.
Yeah, definitely.
Especially games that are fun like those, if I remember them right. But I can't really help you much with the ones we're actually talking about because they seem harder to find. If you have a PlayStation 3, that might be easier. I'm sure you could find them used copies somewhere.
Just doing a quick Google search here. Let's see. Looks like the majority of the copies are for Xbox 360, PS2. And we're looking at average of around $30 to $40 per copy, because it's a little bit on the older side, rarer side.
Yeah.
I'm showing here a used copy at GameStop, won't specify which GameStop, of Dawn of the Dragon for $360 pre-owned, $40 used.
They know what they got.
Here's another one, which is Dawn of the Dragon, the third one, pre-owned, PlayStation 2, $30, GameStop. And they're also showing here Oh, that's a little outrageous. Dawn of the Dragon, PS2, $400 on eBay.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
I think I'll just buy the $22 Switch versions of different games.
Oh, yeah. Which, I mean, if you get a chance to play them, I do recommend giving them a shot if you want to spend the money. If not, I do understand, but definitely give it a shot if you have the chance. Maybe you can have a friend out there that maybe bought the game back in the day and just never gotten rid of it. Ask around. Check out your local game stores. And you have the option for, albeit older, but multiple platforms.
They span a few generations there.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought this up. I would have never thought about Spyro, but I had some good times with Spyro.
Well, I was just thinking, man.
Me and the chickens.
I was just, thinking lately, man, and just like last few episodes we've done, it seems like we've been a little bit more on the present side of games, which nothing wrong, no hating. But I wanted to do a little bit more of a throwback, back to the good old days.
I can't talk about many older games because I didn't play a lot back when I was much younger. And I didn't go back and retry many things.
Well, I didn't have much else to do. And a lot of times when I got games, it's kind of like, we got you a game. You don't get another game for a while.
Yeah.
So play that game.
And play it a lot.
Yes. Got very good.
Yeah. I guess I could do Doom. Original Doom. Like 98 Doom. I'll leave it up to you, actually. I said a few weeks ago when I forgot to do it last week, talk about our next game in line. I'll leave it up to you. Do you want me to talk about Sea of Thieves or Warhammer 40K?
Personally, from just what I know of like how you've been playing lately, I think a good fun episode would be Sea of Thieves.
Yes, that would be fun.
Well, I mean, like for any of those that are out there, Warhammer 40K, that's all I got to say.
Yeah, I tried for years to avoid this series, and then I got to play in this game, and I've started... My YouTube feed is filled of Warhammer lore. I just cut it on now, and it's just like a list of things. I'm like, oh, what's this new thing about the Emperor I didn't know? But Sea of Thieves is really nice. I won't have much. There's not a whole lot of lore to go about, but there's a lot of fun stories to tell. A whole lot of fun stories to tell about that game, and some mechanics that are just nice.
All right, everyone. If you like what you've heard here and would like to maybe possibly hear more, if you're interested, we do actually have a network of podcasts, the Gruesome Gaming Network, where my co-host, Ramy, and his sister, Beth, actually host a couple of other shows. One is Horrific History and Hauntings, where Beth and Adam basically go over a few different little spooky, horror, dark things around the world, and mostly in America. If you're a little bit more on the spooky side of things, definitely check them out. Then there's Brother Knows Quest, where Ramy basically takes off one of the books off his giant shelf of TTRPGs and goes it over with his sister, and they kind of talk things over. Possibly she makes a character, and then she kind of gives him her opinion on whether she would play or not, and just what she thinks about things in general, where she has played with us. And then, of course, Leveling Duo here, where me and Ramy just talk about games from the past, present, and possible future. If you want to have links to that, check out the link tree in the description below, and feel free to reach out to us on any of our social media accounts, also listed below. We'd like to hear back from y'all. Just anything you'd like to reach out on, give us some feedback.
Yeah, we'd like to hear from you. The first link in the link tree is our main website. It will have all of our other podcasts in it. Our YouTube channel will also be in that same link tree. I plan on streaming. That has been in the works, but it's hard to get Beth to do anything at the moment.
Yeah, which it's understandable. She, for the listeners, she has a few personal things going on right now, which we will respect her privacy. However, we're just trying to make sure everyone's schedules are good to go, and no one is under any kind of extra stress to make it happen.
It's the holidays. We're trying our best to make sure everything comes out on schedule.
Yeah, and that none of us spontaneously combust trying to do so.
Yeah. So if anything goes wrong, and you see an episode not show up, check the Twitter. Just subscribe to the Twitter, and I will post if something happens that will change the scheduling for a day or two. But I don't see it happening in the future, just in case. There's your options. And you can reach out to us there too.
Well, everyone, thanks for listening to this episode of Leveling Duo. This has been Dakota.
I've been Ramy.
And we are logging off.